Strap in for some lore. There is someone on the roof with a leaf blower. Very long time ago, I used to sew a lot. And by a lot, I mean not the same kind of a lot that I do in the shop, which you should check out here. Magical things, yes. I don't know if I can find any evidence as such. I grew up knitting a lot, but what I used to sew more was clothing. And if you are one of these people, or you know someone who is, someone who has like their main medium of craftiness, and you'll probably understand when I say I'm looking at a really big stack of fabric right here. Not as big as some other people's, but hence the lore. One particular thing I wanted to pull out were these two. So, if you've met me at in-person events, you might have heard me talk about I used to work mainly in retail, mainly in craft stores. And of course, when you have employee discounts and ADHD and do the type of things that I like to do, there will be fabric going home with you. So a couple of these are from when I still worked in. People who know these prints will probably know exactly where I worked, but I'm not going to be going that direction. These are by far two of the happiest prints that I found when I was working at a place that I was unhappy. Of course, I have a soft spot for what I've learned just in the last several months as the Beastle prints. I don't know if that's how it's actually said, but it's Beistle type of prints. It's like vintage, like 40s and 50s paper mache-esque, like vintage Halloween card kind of stuff, like these boys. And I also have a soft spot for sheet ghosts. So these I've had for at least a few years, I think, because I've been doing my personal work full-time for a few years, almost a few years. And now we go much older. I have no idea where I got this. That might be used here. When I say older, this is probably because of life events. We all have, well, most of us have those events where you can kind of gauge time by like, was it before that or after that? So this is probably more than 6 years old. Over 7. And this thing was bought at my first job. And if it's not making it too obvious, this one has the same surprise as the ghosty one that I showed you a second ago. But this is the main one that I wanted to talk about, because this one, I originally had around 6 yards of this. I think I have maybe half of that now, which is still sizable. And when I say I used to sew clothes, I used to sew dresses. A lot of dresses. Not like dozens and dozens, but because of the lore, and the background that I have, I've said in some other videos, like the what to know before you call yourself pagan, what to know before you use the term witch for yourself, that I grew up in a religious cult. There will be a slow release on more specifics of that as it pertains to any given video. Yeah, I knew exactly what I wanted to sew, what I naturally gravitated towards, what I wanted to own, and because of certain events, to kind of placate the powers that be, at least were at that point, I made myself a lot of dresses. So I think what we're actually gonna do, I'm gonna make what I actually fucking wanted to make out of this, and then we shall see what else we get to in this video or otherwise, because my schedule is still like spinning plates, juggling weird stuff, but I do like having these conversational videos with you, showing you stuff that I am trying to appreciate more in my life. And isn't that kind of what the point of this all is, where like I want to inspire people in one way or another, and if you catch my drift of what I've been talking about, It gets better, but you have to fucking make it better. Anyway. And so, to preface, I had been planning to do this for quite a while, which is why these pattern pieces are all wiggly. So before ironing the fabric and then cutting it out, I have to iron the pattern pieces so I can cut them out properly and then, but you may also notice that there are two different fabrics here. This is not lining and then the outside, because this pattern I kind of like for getting back into it, because it doesn't have a full lining, it just has kind of facings that pop to the inside. So getting back into this, and getting back into it, it's not gonna be doing any crazy things. I have made vests, which is what this is, with full linings, and it's not that bad. It's just I'm using what I have right now, and I don't really have a pattern that I like that does that. And because I've had this for so long and I don't want to, instantly mess it up, I'm going to make a kind of plain one and then see what happens with that one first. This pattern is from, where does it say? This pattern is from freesewing.org, where you can put in your own measurements and test run your patterns first so you don't use up your favorite fabric. And if you want, you can also, if you have a printer, you can put in your measurements and then print it off and then follow along with however this goes. So finishing up ironing these pieces, I did find out that one of the sheets that I put together, I don't remember when I put these together, whenever I put them together, is actually missing from the bottom of one of these. So I wanted to show how, if that happens to you, you can fix it, because on freesewing.org it does come with a layout to help you actually put things together, and then you tape them together and then cut them out and everything. So I think it's this one that's missing just the last little piece. I don't know how well that's focusing, but together here I can see that it should match up with the bottom of this one and then the lower end of this one. So okay. So it turns out it does have a lining, but I actually prefer that than having to go back and zigzag everything, because even if it's not seen on the outside, it still makes it feel a lot nicer. And big reason I like vests is to kind of polish up an outfit, and very customizable. Just makes me feel nicer. I can wear jeans and a t-shirt or so. Anyway, definitely needs ironed. I think I will, however, there's like a 5/8 seam allowance built into the pattern. I think I will kind of fudge that a little bit, because I'm shaped like a popsicle stick, but I think they expect, I don't know, it's a bit tight around just like where the bottom button would be, kind of just extending just a little bit on there, but everything else seems cool. And I did also find some directions on the website, but somewhere between winging it and looking at the directions, because there's also welt pockets that are meant to go right here, which I have done before, but it was a very, very long time ago. And I will also try to show how the lining goes in once I read the directions one more time, because I'm not sure how the armholes are supposed to be, which is why I didn't do them on here. But, oh, this is inside out. And the reason I know it's inside out is because the lining is actually more pieces than the outside. There we go. So there's a dart that stops right here, and then overall, I'm excited. And I think after I've actually figured out how I like to do this pattern, how it works, I'll probably go back and put pockets into this one, which is also why I didn't bother doing sleeve stuff, right? Not sleeve, the armhole stuff. some parts say put like a facing on it, and I know in the beginning I showed the shirt tailor facing, but I had intended originally to use that for like collars and cuffs for shirts. So instead I'm going to use this because, like I said, maybe once or twice, I have a particular sensitivity to heat, so I'm going to do it all out of natural fiber except for polyester thread, I guess, and the buttons. So this is going to be just a duplicate of one of the front pieces to kind of give it some structure, stand up a little bit more, because I read through the pattern again and it said something that's heavier than just quilting cotton, and that's quilting cotton. Right, so I have this inside out with the lining and the interfacing, which is linen that someone very graciously gave me. It was just a little bit, but it worked for the 2 panels. And so these will need a little bit more hand sewing, I think, to kind of finagle the corners, which is what I remember I didn't get quite right last time I tried these. No, more pins. So basically I will be starting from the back on the bottom and going all through, up through the neck and around, but leaving a gap in the back, and that is going by the pattern. And then it says the armholes will have to be turned under and sewn manually, but hopefully I can get some good headway on that. I don't know if this will be finished for this week, but it will be semi-wearable, and I should be able to show it to you tomorrow, depending on how things go. So it's not completely done, but I wanted to at least take a video of the 90% actual bulk of it done, because I have an event tomorrow that I need to get ready for, and I still want to show it off. This is all pressed up, and you can see the lining lays very nicely there. So one thing that I did realize is that the reason that the mock-up was so snug. It wasn't too tight, but it was almost there, was because I was actually doing too much seam allowance. And I looked at it again, and in pattern pieces, especially the ones that you print off, if there is a diagonal kind of corner, it's not that you need to have a huge seam allowance, but I basically realized I could get away with going, so if the corner is like this, I was sewing so far in that I was hitting the opposite corner, but really I could, from both sides, meet right at the center of where the corner was. So it loosened up a little bit and is absolutely perfect. I will be keeping this pattern as long as it fits me. And I'm really glad that I put some of the linen in the front panels, because I didn't want it to have the stiffness of like a shirt collar, but it kind of sharpens it up a little bit more without being way too stiff. Like I feel like I can't move like I'm going to a wedding that I don't want to be at. And also, oh, where'd I put him? I will probably do this in another video or a short, so subscribe if you want to keep tabs on that. But I have had these buttons for quite a long time. They came off of a shirt that I made a long time ago that no longer fits me. I don't even have the fabric for it. But this will be going on. Those will be going down on here. But I need to do still some hand sewing on the sides here, because I keep seeing in the diagrams of welt pockets that you cut a kind of 45-degree angle flap on it, and I realized in this project that I had been skipping over doing that and just cutting it all the way to the side, which drawn that way for a reason. It makes the corners more likely to come out cleaner. So I'm just gonna go back and kind of finagle it with some black thread. If you don't know my other work, I do a lot of plushies, and there is something that I use that I think is called either mattress stitch or ladder stitch, where it's a way for you to finish something from the outside. And so that is what will be done back here, because that's how I turned everything inside out. So there's a little flap here where the lining is not all sewn down. So I'll do that there, and that's already ironed down and pinned down. But that will also need to be done on the sleeves here. So this will actually be a little bit under, but not change it too much. I have wanted to use this fabric for such a long time, and I am really happy that I also get to show off the 90% finished version of it, because I think anybody who wants to wear a dress should be able to wear a dress, but it is no longer within my realm of comfort, especially because that was presented to me as the only option for a very long time. But this is first in hopefully a big chunk of stuff where I'm breaking more into, like, instead of settling, making specific things that I've wanted to have for a very long time. Well, JK. I did end up putting another pocket in the top because it seemed kind of not quite balanced with just the two at the bottom. And I think because either it was supposed to be a double welt pocket with like a flap on either side, or I did something else a little bit off. They're kind of low a little bit, so I wanted the third one to kind of round it out. And I still have some hand sewing to do, like actually put the buttons on, do the buttonholes, and turn this under, iron it, and hand sew all around the sides. But for the purposes of this video, I wanted to be mostly done with it. And I'll do more of that on my own. I might do a video specifically on how to hand sew and like hand finish things, because I did cut out quite a few other ones that I'm excited about. I just don't have the interfacing that I want for it, because I don't want to just use up all of my shirt tailor all at once. But it's just a little one. But I actually followed the directions and cut it with the 45-degree flaps, and it came out quite nicer. So I am much more confident in putting 3 pockets in all of the other ones that I did. And I used the dinosaur fabric, the space fabric, and the gray fabric with like the cotton brocade kind of stuff on it. So you see those in future videos, I guess. And probably in other videos if I do something specifically on how to do buttonholes and hand sewing, stuff like that. You may also notice I have some fabric right here that I cut out for something else. I don't know if that'll be in a video, but it will show up later because I also bought this fabric at, I think it was also my first job. Thank you so much for being here. As I said, I'm trying to appreciate more of what I have and have some fun documenting it and being able to pass it along to somebody else. I try to post at least twice a month for videos, and I stream Monday evenings Pacific Standard Time for the great big crazy tarot deck project that I'm doing. I do traditional art streams. I am also treating this as one of my many jobs, so if you would like me to be able to use this to pay at least one bill in the future, I would appreciate a subscription, and tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies, dogs, etc. There'll be something for somebody here, whether they like it or not. Everybody needs to learn that chaos isn't scary, it just depends on what you've been taught. Until then, I will see you next time. Hence the lore.